state of emergency continues from devastating flooding in the Bluegrass State, and so does the search for two men swept away by floodwaters in Johnson County.
And it is a much calmer weather day across central and eastern Kentucky. We'll show you how long that sticks around up next.
Also ahead, it's Kentucky's turn at SEC football media days. Lee K. Howard is in Hoover, Alabama, with what Coach Mark Stoops and the players are saying about the upcoming season.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Palumbo. Finally, we are getting a break from all the rain and storms. This is a live look at downtown Lexington, where we're seeing something we haven't seen in a long time: sunshine. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has a first look at the forecast. And Chris, this dry weather is just what storm victims need.
Yeah, it is long overdue, Jennifer, across the Bluegrass State. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you how soggy things have been. Absolutely incredible. But a little look outside right now, showing how we have a mix of sun and clouds. At times, your skyline is looking a little threatening, but nothing going on. Temperatures have been hard-pressed to get out of the 70s today into most areas. We're up to 80 out of Bluegrass Airport. Humidity continues to run on the high side, basically because of all the moisture that is in the ground, but that northwesterly wind around here at 8 miles an hour, giving the air a very pleasant feel across central and eastern Kentucky. So a lot of mid and upper 70s, the occasional 80 out there, but overall can't really complain about the temperatures today. And here's the beautiful part of our forecast. Nothing is showing up on Live First Alert Defender, not only across Kentucky, surrounding states dry as well. And that northwesterly wind creating a little bit of cloud cover. Can we squeeze out a sprinkle or an isolated shower? It's still a possibility, not a big likelihood though, but it isn't too often around here when you're talking about a northwesterly wind flow in the heart of summertime. That gives you some very mild and very pleasant air, and that's indeed what we have today and what we're going to see again tomorrow. That will begin to change up, though, shortly thereafter. The break in the boomers will give way to a blast of steam that moves in for the weekend. And unfortunately, Jennifer, that increase in the steam may mean an increase in the storm threat. I'll break that down with the hour-by-hour forecast when I come back in a few minutes.
Thank you, Chris. And Kentucky remains under a state of emergency this afternoon because of the massive flooding. At least 2 people are still missing in Johnson County. State police say the men were swept away by floodwaters. Kentucky's Lieutenant Governor Crit Llewellyn got a first-hand look at the damage today. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is in Paintsville, where a news conference has just wrapped up. He joins us live with the latest. It's our top story at 4. Phil?
Yes, that news conference just wrapped up just about 25 minutes ago. The Lieutenant Governor and several others took a view of the state both from the ground and in the air. She says the takeaway from that is that people's lives have simply been destroyed. The Lieutenant Governor says the area will have all the resources of state government to them, reminding them that the governor issued a state of emergency. She says they also have been in contact with the White House, and FEMA representatives will be here Monday. She says what she saw and heard about the storm could not prepare her for what she saw witnessing it firsthand.
I think we all had seen the pictures on TV, we had heard about it, but to actually see such a long corridor of devastation that stretches about 7 miles. And the force of that water took out power lines, took out homes, took out trees, took out the infrastructure. It was just an incredibly forceful occurrence.
And if you look over here to my, well, you can't really see it, I guess I should say, but over here to my left, you can see a massive donation center. There's toilet paper, there is bleach, there are groceries over here. It's basically like a little miniature grocery store, a store that you can go in and grab whatever you need. We're going to have much more on that coming up at 5 and 6 o'clock. But for now, in Johnson County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Thank you, Phil. And Llewellyn says Governor Steve Beshear could not be in Johnson County because he's currently out of state. The National Weather Service is in Fleming County surveying damage from a quick-moving storm that injured a family. It's ruled an EF1 tornado touched down at a farm, and straight-line winds of up to 100 miles an hour caused the rest of the damage. Last night, strong winds flipped a mobile home with 4 people inside on Cherry Grove Road near Flemingsburg. A mother, father, and 2 teenagers were taken to the hospital. We know at least 3 of them are still hospitalized this afternoon. The mother was trapped inside by a toolbox. Several other structures nearby also received extensive damage from the storm. In Rowan County, the Weather Service says straight-line winds of up to 80 to 90 miles an hour caused damage last night off US 60 near Moorhead, which also had major flooding. Flooding damaged more than 60 homes. Water was as deep as 10 feet in some places. One woman tells us she had to go to the top floor of her home to escape the rising water. A temporary shelter remains open at the Carl Perkins Center in Moorhead. The latest round of storms led to several water rescues in Magoffin County. Most of the rescues came in Salyersville. High water also shut down Highway 460 near the Morgan County line. In other news, the UK football season kicks off in less than 2 months, and today Coach Mark Stoops talked about it at SEC Football Media Days. Lee K. Howard joins us now from Hoover, Alabama, with what the Cats coach and players had to say.
When Mark Stoops arrived at Kentucky, year number 3 was one that was pointed at as a potential measuring stick for his program. Now 2015 is that 3rd year, and with several recruiting classes now on the team, does Stoops feel that pressure to produce results this next season?
We embrace the expectations. We should be better moving into our 3rd year. There's progress needs to be made. We said that from day one. We talked about a day-to-day approach, and we still stay with that. We're never going to get ahead of ourselves. We have a long way to go to build the program to where we want it to be.
We don't feel any pressure at all. We're just here working hard this offseason, working very hard with our strength coaches and stuff like that. And I feel like we'll be able to get some things done this year.
So is year 3 for Stoops bowl or bust?
Anybody in our program would be disappointed if we didn't make progress, and one more game would certainly put us in a bowl game. So you can't shy away from that. But again, we can't get ahead of ourselves. We got to stay in the moment and take care of the things we can control.
One of the players here with Stoops today is offensive tackle Jordan Swindle, and he says he sets his bar at a bowl game. And it is bowl or bust in some ways, because without a bowl game in his senior season, it would be a disappointment. Here in Hoover at the SEC Football Media Days, Lee K. Howard, WKYT.
Thank you, Lee K. And Coach Stoops says Melvin Lewis has overcome the odds to become a leader on this team. Lee K. has his story new on WKYT News at 5. We're working on a number of other stories for WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Dick is in the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. Crews spent the morning decontaminating a meth lab found near a Lexington YMCA. Police found the lab in a pavilion near the Legacy Trail on West Loudon Avenue. Police arrested 2 people. Both the suspects and a few police officers had to be decontaminated. Coming up on WKYT News at 4:30, you'll hear from someone who lives nearby. The coroner has identified the woman found dead yesterday in Lexington as 64-year-old Shirley Clemens. Police say that Clemens' family found her last night in her home on River Park Circle near Trent Boulevard. We've now learned that police are looking for a specific car, a 4-door black Saturn, in connection with this case. The coroner says the cause of death is asphyxiation. We'll have the latest on the investigation on WKYT News coming up at 5 o'clock. That's a look at some of the news in progress. Jennifer, back to you.
Thank you, Sam. Now to a story making headlines around the world at 4. A nuclear deal with Iran took 20 months. Now President Barack Obama has 60 days to get Congress to sign on. The president made his case at a White House news conference as critics say the president is selling a bad deal. Emily Schmidt has the latest from Washington.
The international nuclear deal with Iran has President Obama praising diplomacy.
Iran will not be in a position to develop a nuclear bomb.
While playing political defense.
I am not betting on the Republican Party rallying behind this agreement.
There's a reason, even as the first national security briefings begin on the nuclear agreement with Iran, even as Vice President Joe Biden heads to Capitol Hill to rally support.
I'm confident they'll like it when they understand why.
Many Republicans criticize a deal they say does too much to help Iran by lifting economic sanctions without getting enough oversight in return.
They're the ones that are out celebrating right now because they got everything and basically we got nothing.
But President Obama says walking away from the deal, which most countries support, would unravel any sanctions. Congress has 60 days to review the deal and vote whether to approve it. President Obama vows to veto any negative action, so Republicans would need some Democrats on their side to get the two-thirds vote needed to override the veto.
Yes, I've reviewed the entire deal, and unfortunately, it's not as bad as I had feared. It's actually much worse.
If we don't choose wisely, I believe future generations will judge us harshly for letting this moment slip away.
President Obama says it's possible Iran could try to cheat and make a nuclear bomb. But he says sanctions can always resume, while diplomacy may be more difficult if Iran finds a way to build a bomb without a deal. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt.
This was supposed to be Black Friday deals in July, but is Amazon's Prime Day living up to the hype? We'll take a look next on WKYT News at 4.